Anyway, we'll move on from the updates with Okoma and Okoloba and head over to Southeast Nigeria, where Alex Igbo Group, the Apex Igbo Group, I beg your pardon, Ohanaeze Ndigbo, has reiterated its call for restructuring of the country and the creation of additional states in the Southeast, thereby demanding the devolution of power in the ongoing constitutional review by the National Assembly.
Well, according to the President General of the group, Chief Emmanuel Iwuanyanwu, at a one-day retreat of Ohanaeze Ndigbo held in Enugu and tagged Akobweje, lamented that the region has lost trillions of naira due to the imbalance in Southeast and is set to sue the Nigerian government over the marginalisation of the zone in the state creation, adding that it was unfair for the Northwest to have 7 states while other regions have 6 states and the Southeast is left with only 5. Well, joining us this morning, of course, is a man who wears so many hats. He's an investment banker. You could say he's also an economist. When it comes to politics, he's there. And guess what? He's also a staunch follower of what the Ohanaeze Ndigbo is indeed calling for. We do have Nameka Obiareri, Chairman of Ohanaeze Committee on Agriculture. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You see, we still find it as a struggle to know where you fit in, whether you are this, you are that.
A man of many talents.
I mean, it's a pleasure to have you here this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's go straight into the conversation. There are calls to sue the government based on what we just mentioned. What are your thoughts about going further to ask for more states to be created? And what does it mean for Ohanaeze Ndigbo at this time that we live in, especially with the new regime of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
And I think the call by the President General of Ohanaeze worldwide is long overdue. And one of the reasons why Nigeria is where we are today is because of the issues of injustice, inequities, and a lot of double standards across the facets and across every walks and life in Nigeria. We need to take excursion back to history. Prior to 1914, there was nothing like Nigeria before the amalgamation. Before the independence of 1960, our forebears, our founding fathers, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Sir Ahmadu Bello, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Anthony Inahoro, they had several summits and conferences and deliberations and meetings, both here in Nigeria and in the UK. They discovered and understood clearly the heterogeneous nature of Nigeria and the kind of powerful potentials that this country has if we could come together under a constitutional and physical arrangement that harnesses the potency and the benefits that each of the constituent units and ethnic nationalities will bring to the table. And that was how, after much deliberation, the 1960 Constitution was vetted with governance, fiscal, and other provisions, resource production and control arrangements that allowed the constituent units to be actually semi-autonomous, just like we currently have today in the United Arab Emirates, 7 semi-independent emirates, but fused together and share the same security, the same common international relationship. As at that 1960, the regions grew at their own pace. They controlled 50% of whatever resources that they generate within their environment. 30% was paid to the central port and 20% for the use of the federal government of Nigeria, just to take care of some of the limited things in the exclusive list. The regions had their own security arrangement. The regions even have semi-embassies in America, in the UK. There was no need for anybody to pick car, to go to Abuja, to Lagos then. And again, in 1963, we had an updated constitution. Remember that we had 3 regions after independence. But in 1963, another region was created, the old Midwestern Nigeria. The people went and they had a plebiscite. They decided they want to be carved out of the region where they were. And they were allowed to carve that region, semi-autonomous too. That was a true federal physical republic. Of course, that republic was destroyed by Gowon when he wanted to concentrate resources to enable him to prosecute the civil war. And Nigeria has not yet recovered from it. The 1999 constitution that we currently operate is known to everybody. It's a fraudulent contraption patched together by Abdulsalam Abubakar and few of his cliques. And we have continued to stumble, to lumber over the last 24 years since we started this republic. Ohanaeze Ndigbo is actually making, okay, look at what is happening to Nigeria Delta today. What happened in Okwama. All these things you see is because of the flood, because of the fraudulent nature of the kind of constitution that we are running. And what Ohanaeze has simply said, this idea of man they work, baboon they chop, is not helping Nigeria. One of the reasons why the constituent units, the governors, are not looking inward to develop the latent resources in their states, the potentials, to even provide security, is because of the kind of physical and constitutional deformities that we have today. And if we are very sincere, and I say it with every sense of responsibility, if we are very sincere and honest, even the good book, the Bible says, when Jesus Christ was talking, he said, some of you pay so much emphasis on times and cumims, but you forgot the weightier matters, which is more important in law. The matter of justice, the matter of fairness, the matter of equity. And that is what Ohanaeze is simply asking. Can we go back and look at what was the foundational basis upon which this relationship was bettered? It is unfair for a Kanu to have 44 or 44 local government area, whereas a Lagos that produce more resources than any other state in Nigeria has only about 20. It does not make sense. Lagos may have the smallest landmass in Nigeria, but Lagos is the biggest economy, the 5th biggest in Africa. If we have a physical and constitutional framework that mirrored what our founding fathers mutually agreed to, Lagos should be controlling 50% of whatever it is put. And let me tell you what it would do. It will be an incentive for these constituent units to make sure that their state is protected against insurgency, against the kind of militancy that we have everywhere around Nigeria.
Okay.
One of these is why Dubai is one of the most secured state region in the world. Why United Arab Emirates is the most secured, one of the most peaceful countries in the world. It's because of this kind of confederal arrangement. Therefore, they go every inch of the way to protect their land and make it a habitable paradise out of desert for everybody.
Ms. Abiari, you've highlighted why Ohanaeze Ndigbo is making these calls. Now, what will the practicality of answering these calls look like? Are we looking at a constitutional review? Is there a time frame that Ohanaeze Ndigbo is looking at having this achieved? Because in that report, it was mentioned that the assembling lawyers to sue the Nigerian government if the demands are not being met. So what will that picture look like, and what will be the likely time frame?
I cannot actually say what the likely time frame will be, because that will be the call of the President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo worldwide. But if we live in a just and fair and equitable society where men have the fear of God and love for humanity, I expect the current president of Nigeria, who has actually been at the forefront of sovereign national conference, who have actually been at the forefront of physical federalism, true physical federalism, right from his days as the governor of Lagos State, to go all the hog and use his enormous powers and influence to mobilize the National Assembly to do the right things and right the wrongs. You know, I find this so disheartening when I see from every National Assembly, the 7th Assembly, the 8th Assembly, every time they will set up committees, we will waste resources on a constitutional amendment. At the end of it, nothing comes out of it. I say it and I say it again. If we are very honest and sincere with ourselves, there is no need wasting the scarce resources setting up committees. Go back and fish out the 1960, the 1963 Constitution that was agreed to in a marriage, in a union. All the parties coming into that union must agree on things that will make them live together harmoniously in a prosperous atmosphere. What they should simply do is to fish out the 1963 Constitution, modify it to suit our current contemporaneous need and the demography of 6 regions. Let the regions be the confederating units. The regions can now go back and decide whether they want to create 10 states or whether they want to create 20, whatever.
All right, are you there? Okay.
Let the constituent units, let the federating units be. Let the federating units
go ahead,
be the regions. Let the federating units be the regions, and let us embrace and let us just ensure the same physical, the same socio-economic, the same governance arrangement that was in that 1963 constitution. And if we do this, only mark it in the next 10 years with the kind of potentials we will unleash in this country, Nigeria will become one of the top biggest, 10 biggest economies in the whole world.
All right.
Anyway, take us through your plans for the Igbo retreat, which is billed to hold in Delta State from March 30 to April the 2nd and thereabout. Are these conversations also going to be held there? And if, while answering that, we'd also like to know what the plans are, especially for Ohanaeze Ndigbo, looking ahead to the political climate that we've seen here in Nigeria. Let's talk about the retreat. Let's also look at Ohanaeze Ndigbo's statements and plans for what we're seeing currently in Nigeria's political system.
I am not aware of any retreat in Asaba on the 30th. The only retreat that Ohanaeze had, remember, we have only one Ohanaeze that is led by Chief Dr. Emmanuel Iwuanyanwu, Aheji Agamba of Igbo land, the Guruguru. And he is the president of Ohanaeze worldwide. Any other persons or people parading themselves as Ohanaeze group are stars. And the Imobi Ndigbo will take urgent steps to address.
Are you there?
I'm here. And the Imobi Ndigbo will take out time to address some of these imposters that have been dragging the Igbo name and the image and reputation to the mud. I am privileged to be selected to be the chairman of the Agric Committee of Igbo, and that is what I have the brief, and which I have the brief to talk about. You all agree that the Southeast region is the smallest region in Nigeria in terms of land mass, 28,000 square kilometers, which is 2.8 million hectares, but mostly arable land with the right amount of rainfall and the right amount of sunshine, the water tributaries, and some of the most highly intelligent human capital the world has ever seen. Our brief simply is to help midwife a very robust missions, community, diaspora, private-public partnership arrangement that will enable us to grow the Southeast economy to grow about 7 trillion naira agro wealth in the Southeast economy over the next 8 years. A 7 trillion naira wholly agro-food value chain economy that will create sustainable about 600,000 jobs on an annual basis in the Southeast and 1.2 million indirect jobs. An agro value chain that will be able to create at least 10,000 sustainable millionaires annually from the Southeast agripreneurs. We have developed the roadmap, and we in Ohanaeze are believing that our governors will provide the political will and support, because the governors control the land by reason of the Land Use Act, and help us to mobilize resources to provide security within our region, to be able to recreate the visions of Dr. Michael Okpara, a 39-year-old medical doctor in 1959, when he became the fastest growing economy in the whole of the Commonwealth. And that is an economy that grew at 9% per annum, creating over 214 kilometer industrial belt. Most of the legacies of Michael Okpara are still existing today. So basically, our brief is to work with Ndigbo, both at home and in diaspora, provide the framework on how we will drive this process, the designing, the structuring, the funding, the execution, under a very unique, never seen before, using the Igbo apprenticeship model, a missions, community, diaspora, private-public partnership arrangement that will unleash such a mega fraud that Africa will come to the Southeast to come and learn how to grow wealth without with enterprises.
All right. There's so much plans that are unfolding, and we look forward to getting updates from you regarding the plans for Ohanaeze Ndigbo. I think on a final note, I'd like you to share with us, what your view is. I know you've touched on that, but I'd like you to give us a bigger picture for, the perspective or Ohanaeze Ndigbo's stand regarding where Nigeria's current climate is, where we are, and projections for where, your organization would like to see Nigeria heading to.
Ohanaeze Ndigbo, just like every other group in Nigeria, Afani-Fere, the Middle Eastern Forum, Arewa Consultative Forum, the Sokapu, and all manner of other groups. Ohanaeze Ndigbo believes so much in the unity of Nigeria. Ohanaeze Ndigbo believes convincingly that Nigeria is better together under a constitutional and physical arrangement that ensures equity, fairness, and equal partnership for all the diverse ethnic nationalities in Nigeria. Ohanaeze Ndigbo believes practically that the current problems we are grappling with are foundational and can easily be sorted out. But they can only be easily sorted out when we decide to be collectively honest with each other. And we know that there is no part of this country that does not have things to bring to the table. There is no part of this country that cannot add so much value. We can actually synergistically help each other to work together to create a nation where poverty is reduced drastically to less than 2%. Of course, Bible says that the poor must always be in your midst. The poor here simply means those who refuse to work, those who refuse to do what they are supposed to do to be able to come out of poverty. Ohanaeze Ndigbo wants a constitution and a country that gives everybody equal opportunity. As long as you're resident, you're dedicated, you're diligent, as long as your limbs are intact, you can be able to unleash your potentials. Where the son of nobody can become the son of somebody. That is why we have the Republican nature of the Igbo man. We are not trying in any form of manner to equate ourselves more than any other person in Nigeria. We are simply saying we are brothers. Destiny has brought us together under one roof as one country. And therefore, we must try as much as possible to make the best use of this one. Nigeria is a great place with great people. We just need to remove some of those constitutional, physical schisms that have allowed some few of us to leverage on those things, little things to divide us, rather than harmonizing on those things that can bring us together. Simple thing is very simple. Get the 1963 Constitution. If I am a governor today, that is the only thing I will pursue in my agenda. If I'm in the National Assembly, and that is why I look at the political class and I feel so sorry. I weep most of the time when I go into meditations at the kind of huge potential being wasted in this land. Let us go back to rebuild the foundation of Nigeria. If the foundation is faulty, there's nothing the righteous can do. When we rebuild this foundation, I tell you, Olive, in 10 years, other nations will line up to get visa to come to Nigeria. But until we fix those foundational issues, this country will continue to totter on the precipice.
All right. I mean, there are other questions I would have loved to ask, but because of our time, I would have loved for us to look at the Apex Northern Socio-Cultural Group, which is the Arewa Consultative Forum. I'm sure you're aware of the back and forth conversation they're having with Ohanaeze Ndigbo, especially concerning the statement that was made concerning Gowon having to apologize to Ohanaeze Ndigbo, and they feel that was taking it too far. But we will try as much as possible to have you back on the show next week, and of course also have the National Publicity Secretary who would be here as well. Hopefully we can clear the dust in the air and have that conversation when it's time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right.